A very warm welcome to all of y'all. A warm welcome to Smith, Mukti, and Samyak, I think, is trying to get in. He's trying to log in. He did log in, but I think it'll take some time. On behalf of KVO, Stanakwasi Mahajan, Sanchalit Manibai, Shivji Devji, KVO Kanya Karuni Fund, I'm happy to welcome all the three panelists, Samyak, Mukti, and Smith. I also welcome all the participants who are participating for this webinar today, as well as who will be viewing it later. A very warm welcome to all of you. Matushri Manibai Shivji Devji KVO Kanya Karuni Fund, under the aegis of KVO Stanakwasi Mahajan, has been in existence for the past more than 50 years, almost 53 years, and basically has been empowering girls in the area of education and profession. Matushri Manibai Shivji Devji KVO Kanya Karuni Fund believes in fine-tuning education and in quality education. And therefore, it has been doing everything that is required for students to excel. One of the ways in which it does for since many years is basically it gives financial support through scholarships and through interest-free loans, that is the soft loans. Besides that, it's also been conducting career seminars, day with professionals, with other organizations, and by itself, it conducts many training programs. Amongst the training programs that it has, digital marketing, e-commerce, entrepreneurship, coding, app development, languages like Mandarin, French, currently Sanskrit, good parenting, also sessions on different types of social media communication through email, LinkedIn, and so on. There are several webinars that this organization has conducted with the support of the entire team of trustees, office bearers, and committee members. There are three major projects that I would like to highlight. One of them is the BCSMA, that is the Bhartiben Chimanlal Merit Award, which is mainly for the girl students to identify their excellence, not only in academics, but also in co-curricular, extracurricular, their soft skills like communication, team building, their leadership qualities, and so on. There are many different stages of jury which the student excels and thereby qualifies for the BCSMA awards. So it's a very prestigious awards, and we welcome young students after 10th, after 12th, after graduation, after post-graduation, doctorate and postdoctorate to apply for this merit award. It's a very prestigious award. It has been instituted by the founder families, the parent body. We also have two other projects, which is the Srimati Premila Ben Lakshmichand Kumarji Nanji Kenya. It's an award mainly in the form of scholarship. It's a loan scholarship for students for international education. As we all know, students have been aspiring to gain their education in different countries of the world. And therefore, this funding also supports the girls. It is all interest-free loans. The third important project is instituted. It's instituted by the Prince Parivar, and that's by the one second. That has been instituted by the family of the Prince Parivar, that is the Srimati Kalaben Mahendrabhai Cheda Prince Parivar. And besides these three projects, we have many other activities also for the students, for the girl students. And I wish that all of you all will take the benefit of this program. I very happily welcome the speakers of today, and that is none other but Samyak, Smith, and Mukti. I welcome all the three of you all for this very important program, which is Tips from Champions International. And all the three of you all qualify for being called the champions because you have not only excelled over here in India, but also crossed boundaries of the country geographical borders and gone away to excel, to find a good education, to find a good profession, and thereby inspire many more students and parents who are here in India. So, not taking much time, we would like to start the presentations, and we'll go in the order of Smith first, Mukti second, and third is Samyak. And I would like to give a little introduction. Sorry. I'm going to give a very brief introduction because I know you're going to talk your story and we will walk your talk together. So I'm happy to introduce Smith Vanita Navin Bawa from Nani Tumbri, living in Ghatkopar, currently in New York, as well as in Phoenix. So Smith, welcome to you. Your family is in Ghatkopar, you are in USA, so we welcome you here. We are also very happy to welcome Mukti Pura Vora from Moti Varandi, living in Kandivali. I mean, family lives in Kandivali, and she, of course, lives in Nuremberg, Germany. And she's the daughter of Hina Nitin Lakamsi Shah, Depa. All of us know Total Sports Dada. So, welcome to you, Mukti from Germany. Samyak Sushila Bipin Chandra Shah, village Naredi, lives in Mulund, family lives in Mulund, and Samyak currently in Washington, D.C. Welcome to you, Samyak. Welcome to all the three of y'all. And definitely we will have a question answer interactive round after your presentations. So I invite the audience to put your questions on YouTube. And now over to you, Smith. I'd just like to tell the audience all the projects or the webinars that I spoke of, they're all available on the YouTube channel, MMSD KKF. Do take the advantage of all of them. Yes, Smith.
Thank you very much, Ila Auntie. Just a quick feedback. You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. And do you see my slides in
yeah, you'll have to
full screen?
Fine. Now it is fine.
Okay. So yeah. Thank you very much, Ila Auntie, for bringing or inviting me to this platform where I can really share what experiences I've gone through when I was starting from bachelor's and then through master's. Before I actually start talking on my slides, I also want to thank KVO Seva Samaj and all the other institutions that have helped me securing loans when I was leaving for United States in 2016. A big thank you, a big shout out for all of you guys. Thank you very much. As you know, my name is Smith Bawa and I'm currently residing in Phoenix, that is the state of Arizona. I am originally from Nani Tumbri, that's the village in Kutch. And in US over here, I have a master's degree in electrical engineering, specializing in high frequency electromagnetics. I've actually done my bachelor's in engineering, in electronics engineering from KG Somaiya College of Engineering. So before spending much time on other topics, I would quickly like to go to the agenda or the structure of my slides. I basically have divided the presentation into two sessions. The session one is actually where I want to start with acknowledging some of the key personalities that have influenced my life and also helped me in my career path. Followed by that, I would talk about my own journey, beginning from the bachelor's and then ending to my master's, where I am currently located right now. And finally, for the session one, I would conclude with, for the benefit of the audience, if there are people who really don't know about my field, that is electromagnetics, then I would just go quickly with an overview of what electromagnetics is and what an electromagnetic engineer does. In the session 2, I will be focusing on key takeaways from my journey. So this would be something that I feel can help some of the students who are thinking to come for masters, maybe in the US or any other different countries. So I bifurcated the key takeaways into 2 parts. One is before flying and the second part is after flying, because I think that's the way I could segregate it. Finally, I will share my contact with all of you guys so that you can reach out to me if you have any queries or follow-up questions. So let's get into session 1. To start with acknowledgement, I would really appreciate my parents for being the building blocks of my life. My parents have really supported me in all my decisions and calls that I've taken. They are really like the true backbone of my life. Anything I say on this platform is never going to be enough to justify what they have contributed towards in my life. But once again, a big thank you to both of you guys. You have been fantastic. The second set of personalities whom I really want to appreciate are my professors and my mentor. Dr. Reza Khalaj Amine is a professor, assistant professor at my university. He was my thesis advisor and has guided me through all the research publications and all the other activities that were related to my thesis and research and all the other papers that I have published. Professor Mayruk Akhtar, she was one of the graduate advisors and the director at our engineering school. She really helped me map out the courses very well and personally reached out to me almost every 15 days to see how I was doing with my academics, to make sure that I excel in my academics and land a job. So big thank you to my professors, without whom I would not have achieved all these things. Finally, a big thank you to Mr. Gopinath Gampala, who is my mentor at Altair. He disposed at me an experience of 14 years in the field of electromagnetics and taught me how the real world electromagnetics is different from theory. So a big thank you to him as well. So now, yeah, after concluding the support system, I wanted to quickly talk about my journey, some key milestones. To put in a graph, I will compare my milestones with the timeline, just beginning and fast forwarding to a point where I was admitted in KJ Samyak College of Engineering in the year 2011 in the electronics engineering program. For the first year, I actually focused on my academics and would not even budge from there. But from the second year, I decided I should explore myself and go towards some co-curricular activities, as they might help me land up on a job or some interesting activities. So for the year 2012 to 2013, I became a part of a racing team called as Redshift Racing. It is a part, once again, it's a part of KJ Samyak College of Engineering. I joined this team as member of electronics, and that year we participated in SAE Baha competition in Indore. Following of that year, I took up a new role as a head of electrical system in Redshift Racing. It was a fun and learning experience, I would say, as we actually used the electronic systems that we learn and implement that in an all-terrain vehicle. Just to give you an idea, Redshift Racing is like a team of student engineers that designs and manufactures all-terrain vehicle or a car and participates in student competitions. In the year 2014, we were able to qualify for South Africa, and we represented India with a team of 17 engineers. That was in 2014. Once we were back from 2014, once we were back from South Africa, it was almost time to prepare for our BE project. It's a final year project that goes against our graduation. Me and a couple of my friends, we thought we should actually design and manufacture a system for an automatic water bottle filling system. So We started designing this, and in the phase with the help of a lot of professors, we were able to manufacture it, and we placed it in one of the competitions where we were actually awarded the winning place. So yeah, that was also one of the key milestones that I think we achieved. We three of my friends achieved in our career. So once I graduated in the summer of 2015, I secured a position as a program associate at ALC Private Limited, and I basically joined this company from the campus placement. And my initial goal was to figure out what I want to do exactly in the near future, because I wasn't too sure if I wanted to do or continue in a technical field, or I wanted to move towards business administration or climb up the ladder inside the company. So I spent that year working really hard on my job. And as a result of that, on the same year, I got promoted to program manager. That was the year of 2015. Uh, an interesting thing happened when I got promoted. I saw the experience of looking at the administrative side and the management side. And during the same time frame, I think I decided to pursue my master's. So just quickly fast forwarding to the next year, like after giving GRE and TOEFL and applying for universities, I was admitted to New York Institute of Technology for the fall 2016 of electrical program. I came to US, uh, I think in August 2016, and while I was starting my courses in the first semester, I was reaching out to professors for research opportunities and trying to secure my thesis under some professors' guidelines. Uh, Dr. Amine, one of the professors, showed interest, and he gave me some literature to review and study. And by the time of December of 2016, I had already started working on my thesis. Although I had not registered for thesis until the next two semesters, but I started working on my thesis back in December 2016. After that, I achieved my first success when I published my first technical paper in International Conference of IEEE APS Antenna Propagation System as a research assistant in January 2018. So there was quite a gap between my start of thesis and the first paper where I published it. Uh, Meanwhile, I also was able to secure an internship with Altair in its Boston office. So this was actually one of the greatest experiences I think I had in my master's program, because this experience exposed me to how real world electromagnetics actually works. So it is quite different than what the theory is. And with Gopinath as my mentor, I was able to learn a lot of new things on the internship, which I would have probably not learned on an academic role. So after I completed my internship with Altair, I defended my thesis with 5 technical publications, both in IEEE conferences and international journals. So that is one thing that I'm really proud of, that I was able to do that, all thanks to my professor and my mentors. Finally, I graduated in 2018 summer. And after that, I continued to work with Altair as full-time electromagnetics application engineer. It's been a very nice journey since the last almost over 2 years now. It's a fun experience, get to learn new things, and it's a little bit challenging because it comes to some kind of research and development sometimes. So it's a fun experience that I'm trying to ride right now. So that's just an overview of the journey that I have enjoyed from bachelor's to master's. Of course, yeah, the graph looks in such a way that all the points go higher and higher. But there are challenges and hardships that I'm not talking. Just give you an example of that. I started working on my thesis in December 2016, and I actually submitted my paper to IMS 2018, which is a very popular conference, and that was my first rejection of the paper that I submitted. Following that, I submitted another paper to an international journal, and I also received another rejection from there. And after that, when I submitted my paper with some extra work in January 2018, that's when my paper was accepted in APS. So basically the journey wasn't so easy, but yes, after achieving and after working hard, it appears to be that it was completely worth it. So that's my journey in a nutshell. And as promised, I would talk about electromagnetics, what that is in general. So as you can see on my screen, electromagnetics is nothing but a study of how a wave travels in different mediums and different regions. The study also includes how these electromagnetic waves are affected after the bouncing from different structures like metals and dielectrics. To keep it very simple, we all have used Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. We've always connected our phone that has a Bluetooth antenna to a wireless speaker which has another receiving antenna. We also have connected our devices, tabs to Wi-Fi networks and accessed internet. So all these transmissions, they actually have electromagnetic waves that run between the two channels or run in a channel. That is where electromagnetics come into picture. So as you can see on the screen, this is a typical example of how an electromagnetic wave will travel from one point to the other. So what does an electromagnetics engineer do? Well, I always deal with applications like designing antennas for 5G, 4G LTE, and other standards like WiMAX, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. I also spent some time designing radar systems as shown in the image. These radar systems require antenna arrays. And once you design these antennas, you want to place them on some platforms. So I've been regularly placing the weather antennas and all the different communication antennas on the aircraft, as you can see in the first image on the top. And nowadays, we also have these automotive cruise control radars and collision avoidance mechanisms installed on cars. These are networks of sensors and antennas installed on these cars. So we actually design these. Now, when we actually start designing these, we don't directly install them on a car. We actually simulate them on a system. So as you can see, here's a design that I simulated a couple of months ago that was a Bluetooth speaker, and we're trying to analyze the performance of the antenna of a Bluetooth speaker. And on the other hand, you can see how a couple of cars that have actually collided at one end of the road, and there's an oncoming car with an acceleration, and the automotive cruise control radar system detects that there is a car in front which is stationary, and it actually pauses and halts to avoid a third collision. So these are the systems or simulations that we work on, and then finally we manufacture it and test it on the actual platforms. So this is just electromagnetics in a nutshell. So that kind of brings the end of my session 1. Let's get into session 2, where I wanted to focus on the key takeaways from my journey. Of course, this would depend on from person to person, so don't really quote me on them. Quick disclaimer is that my journey was related to a core field, so these takeaways would really be applicable to core fields, especially in the United States, because that's where my experience lies. When I say core fields, I am talking about fields like electrical, mechanical, civil, or chemical. Also, each field is unique and requires unique requirements. So I would recommend doing individual research on different programs. But yeah, if you feel that there is something that you can take away from this presentation, I would be glad to help you out. To start with, I want to focus on takeaways or issues that you can address before leaving India. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the co-curricular activities in a particular field. This happens to be somehow very important sometimes because it provides a a different kind of an exposure that goes beyond academics. And if you have a lot of co-curricular activities beyond your academics, then it will definitely be eye-catching for a recruiter. So if you're applying for a position, these things can really make a difference. To add, of course, when you engage with such co-curricular activities, this will definitely help you develop skills in your field that might help you show that you are technically strong. The second thing I want to talk about is work experience in India. Of course, this is a debatable conversation because there might be some fields where work experience, if not related to the field, might not help. But in my experience, this will always help as it will provide the clarity on what you want to do. So for example, I spent 1 year working in a non-technical field trying to figure out what exactly I want. There's a misconception that when you come to a foreign country, especially like US, if you are working in a non-related field of your education, then that might not help. I personally feel after talking to certain recruiters in my company and certain other recruiters from certain tech giants, I have come to this conclusion that having any kind of work experience is always beneficial because of course, having work experience in your field is always more beneficial than not related to your field, but it always displays that you have work ethics. And when I say work ethics, I'm talking about being a team player, taking responsibilities on the project, and taking leads on some projects and learning from different people. So that I think will always help. The third thing and the most important thing is the motivation. I say this is the important thing is because you will definitely need it, especially if you're coming to the US and when times can be depressing, when you're struggling to find jobs, when you're struggling to find internships where you apply to probably 500 jobs and then you get 2 or 3 callbacks. So you will definitely need motivation. So just ask yourself, why do you want to do masters in a foreign country? If you have a very strong motivation, then that will definitely keep your engine running to perform your day-to-day activities in a stressful period. Next, I want to talk about is program selection. I would recommend checking university programs before applying. A lot of these universities have a lot of prerequisites for certain programs. So it is always better to check for these prerequisites because sometimes you have to take these prerequisites and that won't count against your graduation. So yeah, please check for these prerequisite programs, and all this information is available on the university website. So I would recommend to check them before you actually apply to a university. Finally, I want to talk about university mapping. This is something where if you're applying for US universities, you can really save some money financially. I would recommend mapping the universities where you want to apply depending on your scores. So do some kind of a homework because you spend almost between, I don't remember exactly, but $20 to $30, I think, for submitting the GRE and the TOEFL scores when you're applying to US universities. But when you give the GRE exam and you get the score, you are allowed to submit your scores to 4 universities for free. So I would recommend you do some homework and send the scores to the right programs. One other thing that I have observed is, and something that I might have done in a mistake for, is I applied for universities blindly. That is something that I don't think should be done. And the other thing that I've noticed is I would recommend applying well before the deadline. Even if you apply before the deadline, most of the universities in the US especially, they do not wait for the deadline to start reviewing the applications. They start reviewing it as and when they go. So by the time you apply, you might have the credibility to actually get into the university, but might not end up having an admit because you're probably late and they don't have too many seats available. So yeah, that's some some points that you might want to address before leaving India. Once again, the disclaimer is that it's your personal choice. This is what I feel when it comes to core fields and studying in the United States. The next I want to talk about is what do you do, or what are the takeaways after landing in a foreign country? So once you do that, the first thing in a core field, what is important is academics. There is a misconception, or maybe in some fields, academics might not be really that important. But if you are in core fields like pure physics, electrical, applied physics, and mechanical, then academics do matter. They become the first part of your filter. So I would recommend you ace your academics. Secondly, if you are coming from India after working for a couple of years or 1 year, then I would recommend you brush up your concepts, because professors generally do not brush basic concepts. They will always skip them. They assume you have a bachelor's degree, so they will skip that. So it's always good to brush up the basic concepts after coming to the foreign country. The second point I want to focus on is going for opportunities for research and theses if you are able to get in. So if the university is offering an option for thesis, then please go for it, because doing some kind of a research and engaging in theses and actually writing an entire document or entire literature in a particular field, it makes you stand out of the regular pool. And I guess we practically all know a lot of students are coming to different countries for masters, and we need to pull out ourselves from that pool. So going for this option will always help you to be attractive. In addition to all these benefits, it can help you with research assistantship. So because we will have a guidance, we will have a guide or an advisor for your thesis. These professors, they generally have grants. And we are Kachis, right? And Gujaratis. We are known to be money-minded people. So here is a fun fact for those minds. Since the year of 1978 to 2018, the US R&D budget or US R&D expenditure for the entire US, including the business and the government funds, is reached to a staggering $560 billion. These are the funds that are given to institutions that provide assistantships to professors or provide funds to professors to do research. These are some of the businesses also invest in this R&D departments with collaborating with the universities. So there is a very high chance if you end up with a thesis or a research assistantship, you will be awarded financially in a very good way, which can bring down your overall cost of the master's degree. Another point that I wanted to focus on is publications. Publications seem to be important where your resume is being compared with maybe 50 or 60 or 100 other people. If you have publications on your resume, they receive more respect, more weightage, more than academic projects that we do. Don't take my word for it. You can talk to any recruiter. I've been talking to the recruiters in my company, and this is what they've been telling me. It would be even great if you're able to publish in an international journal that is peer reviewed, because that has more benefits. Your work is being tried and tested by the experts in the field. So that really adds more weightage. So let's say if you're not able to gain research assistantship, then there are other ways you can actually apply for tuition waivers. Like you can reach out to departments like Bursar office, international office, registrars, and admissions office for graduate assistantship. They do offer graduate assistantships in terms of waiving off your credits for your fee. It's always best to reach out to them directly, write them an email, just visit them and ask them what's the procedure to get a graduate assistantship. Is there a position that is open? Especially in the US, if you are being more vocal and more approaching, then there is a high chance of you getting these tuition waivers. There are also a lot of other and on-campus opportunities that can help you reduce the financial burden. Finally, I want to talk about university resources. One thing that I want to comment is that your professors are the best resource you can find. These are professors that do research for more than 10, 20 years. Sometimes they work in the industry for all these years and then come into teaching. They also collaborate with institutions and companies to do research and other activities. So they have good industry contacts. So if you are in good terms with them, if you are their research assistant, or if you're helping them, or if you're a good student and that's what they feel, then they will recommend you. Trust me, this is my personal experience. With all my publications and everything, I still struggled to get a full-time position with Altair. But a recommendation from my professor to the vice president of the company actually made me get the job. So they are real geniuses that you can find. Secondly, universities hold workshops for resume building and personality development and all the other different certificates. So if you really feel that you want to get into some of these certificates, then that's the best opportunity. And interestingly, they're for free. If you look at these courses online, they cost at least $50 to $60 that the university provides for free. And finally, reach out to your graduate advisor to get help with the courses. A lot of universities allow you to register for the courses that you want. But I would recommend reaching out to your graduate advisor because they are seasoned professors who spent 15, 20 years doing the same job of advising. They know each and every course in and out. So yeah, please reach out to them. They are the best resource available for you when you're doing your master's degree. So that's it from the takeaway points. Finally, if you want to contact me for questions or any other queries that you have as a follow-up, then you can reach out to me. That's my Gmail address. Please write me an email. I will forward you my phone number and we can have a more comfortable conversation. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn to see if you want to apply for internships or jobs. I can try and help you and reach out to the central system of my company that can help you place somewhere. And finally, if you are around Phoenix, Tempe, or Chandler and need any help, please let me know. I'm located in Phoenix. And if you are, now that the consulates have opened, if you're planning to study in Arizona State University or University of Phoenix, then if you need help with accommodation, maybe pick up from the airport, or if you're struggling with something during these crazy COVID times, feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my phone number and we can definitely figure something out that works for both of us. Yep, that's it from my side. And thank you very much for spending the Saturday evening with me. Thank you very much.
You'll have to stop share.
Yeah, sorry, I will have to move my camera. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Smith, very exhaustive journey expressed. That was very nice. And I think we'll wait for you with questions. Let's move on and let's come to Mukti. Mukti is coming from, right now going to present from Germany. Are you ready, Mukti?
Yes, I am. I will start by sharing my screen first. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Mukti Shah. I will minimize this. Do you see my screen all right?
Yeah, we do see your screen.
Okay. So like Ilanti said, I'm dialing in from Germany. So good morning to those who are in the US, good afternoon to those in the central area, and good evening to all those in India and Asia. Firstly, Ilanti, thank you very much for thinking of me for this event and for inviting me as one of the speakers for today. I'm absolutely honored to be here and share my journey with everyone. Secondly, as also Smith mentioned, it's extremely important to thank all those who have been part of your journey somewhere and have been instrumental in guiding you from time to time. And here I would first like to thank my family, most of all my parents, and even especially my mother, who always has sacrificed so much for giving me and my sister the best opportunities that are available for us. Secondly, I want to thank my dad, who has always been there, and my sister, who's always been there for me as a support system and my sounding board. For any times when I have something to speculate or a dilemma that I'm at, they have always been there to listen to me, offer their advice, or just listen to me, which is so important to have throughout your journey, no matter which stage of life you are in. And lastly, I would like to thank my husband and my in-laws who have offered me so much support and have given me the freedom and also the opportunity to do whatever I want, whenever I want, without hindering me in any which way. So I think all of these add to any successful journey. It adds to the fact that you don't have to worry about anything, and this is just so helpful. So before further ado, I have shared over here my LinkedIn handle, so feel free to reach out to me, to all the students, if you have any questions related to Germany or related to my journey, or if you just want to chat, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can connect accordingly. So let's start quickly by, I would want to first just rush through a little bit the key academic and professional milestones for me. And then I want to get into what were my key learnings actually at each of these milestones, which actually helped me shape my journey so far. So after pursuing science in the junior college, I decided to go for a BE degree in biomedical engineering from DJ Sangvi. This was in the year 2005. At that time, biomedical engineering actually had mandatory internship semester, which was extremely beneficial. So it is so important, and I think Smith also mentioned this, that you work either after your engineering or during your engineering if you have the possibility to, because this gives you a reality check. It really shows you the doors to what really the industry has to offer, and you're not just confined to the academic environment of our universities in India, which are rather less practical and more theoretical. So working at Siemens Healthcare in India, it basically exposed me to the fact that this is a German company, and Germany is really the motherland of medical technology. A lot of my colleagues over there, who were my seniors, of course, at the company, told me that, when you are thinking about your master's, why don't you look at Germany as an option? Because there are a lot of really good universities over there. And this sort of planted the seed in my mind that when I am thinking about, or when I would start thinking about my master's, I should definitely look at Germany as an option, which was extremely unusual at that point of time. The second thing actually that was really extremely amazing for me during the biomedical engineering, which I will share with you a little bit later as we go into the deep dive of it. After my engineering, I decided to go to Germany and pursue my master's in microsystem engineering with a focus on biomedical microsystems. Thereafter, during the master's, I also pursued a thesis, and I was also working as a student for various student jobs. After my master's, I started my research associate position at the university in the field of biomedical microsystems. While pursuing this, I was nonetheless applying for for industries, because for me, I wanted to really work in the industry environment rather than an academic environment. So it took a little bit time until I could crack the interviews and really get a position at my dream company, which was Siemens Healthcare. So I started actually working with Siemens Healthcare in 2013 as a graduate trainee within a program called the Siemens Graduate Trainee Program, which is split over 2 years and 3 assignments. So you are amongst the talent pool of Siemens, and hence you get this opportunity to move to different functional roles over these 2 years. And I took up the roles as a R&D engineer, then as a product manager, and finally as a business development manager during these 2 years. This exposed me really to a lot of different functions within the company, and a vast network of the people that I met, who I could learn from, who I could get inspiration from. This was absolutely, let's say, a gold mine. After I completed this program within Siemens, my first full-time job was as a business development and strategy consultant. for a particular business line which developed X-ray products. So if you break a bone, you go to a doctor and you get an X-ray. So these are the products that I was responsible for. And my focus was really the emerging markets. So really developing or looking at development opportunities for emerging markets such as India, China, and Brazil. So working with these different cultures and people across these different countries was absolutely phenomenal. And I learned so much out of there. After having worked here for about 2.5 years, I thought I had actually everything that I could learn from this particular job, and it was time to actually move on to newer challenges. So within Siemens, I was offered the opportunity to take up the role as a product manager. And here I was responsible for defining and launching software reading solution for radiologists who focus on CT scanning products. So you probably have heard of when you go to a radiology and your doctor prescribes you for CT. So these are the kind of products that I was responsible for. After this, I actually, we had a daughter, and I took a break of 1 year because in Germany, you really have such a good social security and such a good social system that as a new mother, you're allowed to take a break of 1 year, which is also even partially paid. And I took the opportunity and I took this time to spend with my daughter to be there with her through the journey of this 1 year. And then I came back to the company and I was offered the position as a product manager again, but for all the CT scanners for the entire portfolio. And I was responsible for the user interfaces for all our scanners. At the same time with a focus on how we can improve the whole scanning experience for the user and how we can improve the patient experience. If any of you have gone through a CT scan, you would know that it is really a cold room and the table feels cold. And when you're lying there, even just for 5 minutes, it can be a very daunting experience. So this is my focus currently, and I'm driving this innovation field for our business. How can we improve the patient experience and make our equipments even more patient friendly? Even when we talk about children who go through this, how can we make it more children friendly? So these are some of the focus areas that I'm working on right now. And the goal is to bring whatever we learn, whatever I discover during this journey into our products. So this is where I am at right now. And of course, it's all open from here on to more and more exciting opportunities for the future. So what did I learn along the way? I think this is extremely important, and this is what I want to share with you. And you can take tips from this, you can take hints from this. Of course, this is not a guide that everybody has to follow, but this is what worked for me. This is what I learned. And these are the principles that I follow and I implement in my life till now. So as I mentioned, when I started my engineering, I did not really have a passion or a purpose or even a dream when I decided to do biomedical engineering. It was really a gut feeling that I should pursue this, although I had other options. But nonetheless, somehow my gut feeling told me I should go for biomedical engineering. And here I found my purpose, I found my passion, and I found my dream. A lot of people struggle with the word passion. What really is passion? Passion is something that really excites you. It is something that gives you purpose to wake up every day in the morning and to go to that same job. It is something that drives you and gives you a reason to go on even when times are difficult. But during my engineering, I had the opportunity to actually visit the Bidra medical camp, which is also part of our KVO Samaj and an initiative by some of the wise men of our community, which offer medical services to whoever is visiting them for free or at an extremely affordable cost. There I participated as a volunteer, and I really saw through my own eyes how people are so grateful to receive this kind of service and to receive this kind of treatment at that price or even for free, depending on your situation. And this is where a dream, this is where a passion, and this is where the purpose for me really sparked. And this is where I really felt this is my purpose of life. I want to really do more into this field. I want to help my countrymen or anybody actually by bringing and working in this sector of providing medical equipment, medical services at affordable costs, at cheap costs, and with high-end technology at the same time. So this is where my dream, my passion, my vision was born. So I'm so grateful that our community has so many opportunities and does so much social work which we can actually participate. So I would also encourage every one of you, when you find these kind of opportunities, please go and explore, because you never know where you might stumble upon your passion or your dream. So as I mentioned earlier, my internship with Siemens was actually one of the reasons why I decided that I wanted to go to Germany. And when I mentioned this to my parents, they were in complete, let's say, concern and also a little bit shocked. Why Germany? Why not the US? I mean, everybody goes to the US. Why don't you want to go there? And then and my parents really are very objective and very logical people. They do not just say no for the sake of saying no because they are scared. They actually try their best to reason, to understand, and then make an informed decision. So over here, I would like to thank actually somebody who I believe was pivotal in my life to enable us as a family to make this decision, who is a late Amrit uncle and the son of Karsan Ladun Nisar. He had been to Germany in his youth, studied there and lived there for several years. So through Lax uncle, who also has always been an immense support and a sounding board for us, when we were taking these important academic decisions, we got connected to Amrit uncle, and he basically gave a lot of confidence to my parents that Germany is safe. Although the KBO community is non-existent or very, very small over there, nonetheless, it is safe to send your daughter to such a country. And for me, the biggest advantage of going to Germany was firstly that the education is a lot more cheaper than the US. And secondly, it is much more closer to home than the US. I wanted to be close to home. So Singapore and Germany or the UK were my top priorities. So that I could come home multiple times in a year and spend time with my family. So if you have a dream, so here I learned that if you have a dream, you must have the courage to pursue it, not emotionally, but objectively discuss it, and have the courage to follow through on it. And then you can really make your dreams come true. After my master's, or let's say even once I was doing my master's over there, it is very important to see how you are going to finance this master's. And as I said, Germany is not so expensive compared to the US. I wanted to sponsor my own studies, and hence I applied for also a student loan, which was granted to me. At the same time, Germany required some preparation. It required me to learn the language, to make sure that I have the necessary survival skills. That is something very basic, learn how to cook. Because over there, nobody's going to cook for you. You do not have so many Indian stores or Indian KBO community who's going to support you by offering you meals in your first days. So it's very important to understand what you need to prepare when you're going to a place where the unknowns are many and the knowns are few. At the same time, when I was there, it was very important to establish a social network, because unlike the US, you don't have a community to support you. You have to build one for yourself. And it is very important to not just build that within the Indian community, but since you are in a new land where you have so many other foreign cultures, it's so important to make sure that you diversify your interests and you also diversify your friend circle. So living in a hostel in Germany actually helped me do this, because I was living with 13 other people in one large apartment, or let's say it is called the student dorm. And they were all really, if I have to think now, they were coming from 5 different nationalities. And this was really the best experience ever to just understand how these different cultures meet and how they still can be so different, but also very similar in some aspects. At the same time, when I was over there, it's also important to make sure that you work as a student, because you want to be able to support your cost of living. And I was working as a research student for several PhD students, or for the chair at the University of Biomedical Microsystem, which helped me actually sponsor my cost of living completely. So I was only taking the loan on the tuition fee for those 2.5 years that I was doing my master's. All right. Then after my master's, I was at the stage where I wanted to look for a job. I was applying for several jobs and facing a lot of dejections or a lot of rejections. But it's so important to not feel dejected at that point of time. And it's important to develop the ability to pivot. So if you don't find your dream job or your dream company, that's fine. You can already start with something that is available. And for me, what was available was an offer to start working as a research associate to work on a PhD topic at the university and in a field that I was interested in, that is biomedical microsystems. So I applied for it, and I fortunately also acquired this position, and I started to work. But as I mentioned earlier, I always wanted to work in the industry. So although I started to work as a research associate, on the side, I never stopped applying for companies that I thought were interesting for me, for job profiles that I thought was interesting for me. So you have to be very patient. You have to be very persistent, but at the same time, you have to be also practical, because you do not want to burden yourself into a financial crunch, which then sort of paralyzes every other effort that you try to make. So this particular job helped me gain experience. It helped me understand how the academic world works, but at the same time, it helped me sponsor my stay and to keep on pursuing my dream on the side of working in the industry or working for Siemens Healthcare. So within a short period or a long period, as one may think of it, 8 months, I am interviewing for several or multiple job interviews within Siemens and other companies. I landed a position within Siemens Healthcare as a Siemens graduate trainee program. This is actually a top talent program considered by the company. So everybody who is actually enrolled for this program is considered to be a top talent for the company, and receives a lot of trainings during these 2 years, apart from the normal work that you need to do. And you get the opportunity to have a mentor within the company, which is so important. And I would like to stress over here, the power of networking and the power of mentoring is something which is unparalleled if you want to grow in your professional life. Talk to as many people as possible that you meet. Do not be afraid to approach them or to ask them questions. Just ask them out for a coffee for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, pick their brain and learn whatever you can. Absorb everything they have to share with you. And find a mentor who can guide you through these early years where you are pretty naive. You do not really know how the industry works. And finding a mentor either within your company or outside is extremely beneficial and cannot make you feel so lost. And this is from a professional side, but at the same time, I learned that it is very important to even establish your own value system. How do you want to work when you are, what is your work ethic? What is your private value system? And for me, when I talk about my value system, it's basically three things. It is honesty, work with complete honesty. Work with complete integrity. Do whatever you do, you give your 100% to it. And lastly, consistency. Consistently deliver, consistently work. It's not that for 1 year you are really rushing everything and you're doing sleepless nights, but this is not sustainable. So this is not a consistent way. So consistently work and deliver results. This is the key to success, basically. And have a sounding board. For me, my sounding board were my parents, my sister, and my husband. Whenever I was in a dilemma situation or I did not know what I should do next, I always reached out to them, and they were the absolute pillars to guide me through these difficult phases of my life. So find what your sounding board can be. What is your value system? Introspect and retrospect, and try to understand what this is for you. It could be different for different people. So it does, for what it is for me may not be the same for you. Okay. And then finally, I just want to summarize actually all the other jobs that I did consecutively at Siemens, and all the successes that I saw within the company were a result of continuously and consistently delivering value with integrity. And here I would like to share a very short anecdote from a discussion that I had with my dad when I was in a tricky situation. And he asked me one thing, the company seems to be spending so much money on you. They send you to so many different countries, and you are living in 5-star hotels when you're traveling for them. Are you really delivering the value, let's say, to the amount that they're really spending on you? And this sentence actually stuck with me forever. Every time I am in a retrospective mode, I think to myself, am I doing the best I can? Am I delivering the value with integrity, continuously and see consistently for everything that I'm getting, not just from the company, but from the universe. So to really be thankful for what you have, but also make sure that you have worked for it, and really retrospect whether you have. And at the end of the day, when I talk to my colleagues who I work with, and ask them for peer feedback, because you always need to get a sort of sounding board in different people. And for me, my peers are also sort of sounding board to see how I'm doing at work, whether they enjoy working with me or whether they don't. What can I improve in my working style? How can I become better every day? I always get from them that they see me as humble, they see me as honest, and they see me as optimistic. So this is what they love about me, and that is why they love working with me. So I think this is very important. Do not feel egoistic about your achievements. Be very humble, be curious, ask a lot of questions. It's not bad to say a no when you don't know something. If somebody asks you and you don't know it, you just say, I'm sorry, I don't know it right now, but I will find out for you and I will come back to you. So be curious, ask a lot of questions, be honest and be optimistic. And then this becomes a combination of a very infectious personality that people love to work with. So these are some of the key learnings and the key principles that I live my life by. Now, on a lighter note, I want to share this one saying, which is also very important, and I would like you all to take this with you after this talk, is that the difference between a successful person is not the lack of strength, it's not even the lack of knowledge, but it's rather the lack of perseverance and consistency. So please think about this and see if you are doing this, and you will 100% get the success that you deserve. On a lighter note, when I'm not working and when I'm not so philosophical, what am I doing? I'm spending time with my family and friends, talking to my family in India or my friends here in India or in the US, all around the world or in Germany. I'm traveling with them. I'm playing with my daughter. At the same time, I'm also into food blogging. So I have a blog called myveggielab.com. Which I'm not so consistent with, but nonetheless, it exists. I try to post from time to time. I share recipes, I share my experience about vegetarian and vegan cooking, because in Germany, in the early days, when I told people that I'm vegetarian or I don't even eat eggs, they were all very surprised and shocked, and they didn't know that such food even existed, honestly. So that was somehow the inspiration to start something by sharing your experiences of how vegetarian and vegan cooking can be really simple, and there is food that you can still eat without eating meat or fish or eggs. So check it out if you are interested. And finally, I also try to continuously learn and up my game. So I'm reading on various subjects, not just the heavy ones, but also the light ones. I'm also watching a lot of stuff on Netflix or YouTube. So this sort of helps me keep my social life in check. And finally, Ilanti said that it is also good to share a vision. And I think I already shared this with all of you, but to summarize it in 2 lines, my vision is to continuously be the best version of myself and to do good work professionally as well as socially in the fields of healthcare and services. So these are just 2 very simple lines, which are my vision. It can translate to many different things. But finally, I would like to thank you all for listening to me, and I am really happy to answer any questions you may have either today or even offline. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
Lovely, Mukti. It was really good to hear you. Your journey, I think, is coined with Siemens.
Yes.
A long time. And I think your contribution to the biomedical world is really immense. It's been 11 years since you are in Germany.
Yes.
A good couple years studying, but I think almost a decade is your contribution. And we're very happy to hear the way you like to contribute to fellow citizens, even in India, through the medical field. So we'll
Yes.
wait to hear more about you. And now over to Samyak. Samyak, are you ready?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I'll start sharing my. So Can you see the slideshow?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Samyak Sushila Vipin Chandra Shah. I'll just quickly get on to my background and stuff. I don't have a lot of slides, but definitely I'll talk about my journey and try to give more time so that we can go through your questions. So my background, I did a Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Engineering. I actually did start with Smith in Electronics Engineering for first 10 days, and then I realized I didn't really like electronics engineering, so I moved to computer engineering. After that, so once I was done with my computer engineering, I had established that I didn't want to really do software coding. I wanted to do something more towards data analysis or business analysis. And the reason why I decided to do masters immediately was if I would have taken up a job, let's say in Accenture, Infosys, your career path is not defined for the first 2 years, so you wouldn't know where you land up, what kind of opportunity would you would get. And I was pretty sure that I wanted to do something related to data or business analysis. So I took information systems course in University of Maryland, College Park. My other admit was from University of Illinois, Chicago. So just to reason why I chose University of Maryland was just two basic reasons. I think University of Maryland ranking is a little bit higher, and the second reason was I have two of my cousins who live nearby in Washington DC, and I thought that was that would be of great help to be near them. So during my master's, we had different subjects related to data analysis and business analysis. I did a summer internship in Anthem Insurance, which is one of the top insurance company here in US, which was related to data analysis. Then I also had a part-time internship while doing the master's with Paradigm Management, which is a federal contracting company. After doing those internships, I had realized that I would like to be a business analyst or a consultant, which would solve your problems by implementing a software for you for your business processes. So I started on my job search. I graduated in December 2016. It took me actually around a few months to land my job in Deloitte Consulting. But nonetheless, I think Deloitte was one of my dream companies to work for. So I was more than happy. But during the 6 months, I was doing a contract job, which was in Washington, DC itself. So that kind of helped me get through that time because I was doing that as well as doing applications and stuff. So talking about my experience in Deloitte Consulting. So I've been working as a Salesforce implementation consultant since last 3 years with Deloitte. I have Deloitte as such has pretty good training resources. So they had a pretty good training program before we got started. And since I joined Deloitte till pre-COVID now, I traveled every week from Monday to Thursday. I was going to the client side. I think that is one of the best parts of my job since I like traveling, because the company lets me go anywhere I want in the weekends inside the US. Also, we are allowed to gather all the the airline miles, hotel points, credit card points, all of that. So that is a pretty good added perk for us. The next thing is, yes, so I've worked with 4 different clients in technology, in manufacturing industries, and all of them have been global releases to like more than one of the implementations was to more than 20 countries. So along with that, we are also encouraged to do any co-curricular activities inside Deloitte itself. So I did get 3 certifications in Salesforce till now, and I'm looking to do more certifications now of the same products, but in different platforms like SAP or Oracle, just to expand my knowledge in all those implementations as well. So talking about my challenges during my journey, and the reason I posted this, I hope like it helps someone out at least. So I wanted to do MBBS after 12th. I had received, I think, 2,500 rank in my medical CET. But that was not enough to get an admission in the MBBS. So I switched to engineering. The main point I mentioned here is I think at that time I didn't want to do dentistry or physiotherapy, but I wasn't aware of health management courses or public health courses. So by public health courses, I mean the kind of courses that would actually help you manage this pandemic, or you would work on this pandemic right now to help gather better statistics or give better public health advice. So I just wish that I knew that earlier, but hopefully if it helps someone out. The second would be I realized I didn't want to be a computer programmer in the middle of engineering. So I tried to find something, but I like the logic portion or solving the problems part of it. So I tried to get towards business analysis or data analysis. That was how I came out of that. Finding a job in the US. So it took me 6 months finding a job because of consulting roles are not a lot in the US. Yeah, there are very few specific companies that offer consulting roles. But I tried to get what I could do by that time. So I was doing a contract job. But I worked through it, and by the time I had Deloitte interviews, I had given a couple of interviews before consulting. So I think I had like the easiest interviews that went through for me in when I was interviewing with Deloitte. The last thing is facing visa issues. So last year, I was actually this January, I maxed out my OPT term. So I had stayed, I had used 36 months that you get as a student, and I still didn't have an H-1B. But thankfully, Deloitte was very helpful. They advised me to get admission in this Harrisburg University. So I'm doing a double master's right now. I'm doing a master's in project management as well. But also that helps me keep my job, and I can work full time. And then this master's is basically more of an online, and then pre-COVID, it used to be, I just had to attend a class once a month at their campus. So these were some of the big challenges that I had. So some tips, I think most of them were covered by Smith and Mukti, but just to go over them. First thing, be ready to unlearn. So it's important, like we are ready to learn new things, but it's also important to unlearn few things. The kind of learning methodologies that we had in India, it's better to like kind of forget it, not take it forward. When you come to US, try to come here with a fresh mind, and also develop your learning skills again. Here, that would be one of my tips. Second thing is, it's good to question everything. I mean, I would say basically everything. It's good to be curious. I think that's how you will find your passion, or something that you would like to do. Keep asking questions, especially here in the US. Nobody is discouraged to ask questions. You can ask as many questions as you want. You can reach out to actually anyone, and everybody would be more than helpful to answer your questions. Third thing, yes, only you can decide what's best for you. So I would say a lot of people try to hire consultants when you are doing your master's applications and stuff. It's best that you go through that on your own, make your own SOPs and decisions regarding what universities you want to apply to. Um, and definitely Ela ma'am and others are there to help you out, but to hire someone else to make a decision for you, it still won't be a good decision for you. Fourth thing is build a network. I think Mukti already talked about it, but it's really important with anything, when finding a job, even with like basic things. I was able to solve my visa issue because I reached out to my network and talked to them. Hey, like I'm about to finish off the visa, so what do I need to do? And that's how I came across this option about the Harrisburg University program. Yes, and I've mentioned my LinkedIn profile, so anybody who wants to connect with me, feel free, ask as many questions as you want. And with that, I'll end my presentation. But sorry, I just want to mention thank you to Ila Auntie and everyone who does a great job in helping out everyone. Also, thanking my parents and my brother for supporting me throughout this journey. Thank you.
Nice, Samyak. It was very good to hear your journey even after you left, the challenges that you faced there, your H1 and the new masters and so on and so forth. It was very good to hear them, and I'm sure there are many students who face this challenge also. So how they've been able to come out of it is interesting to hear you, and I'm sure it'll inspire many others. Some quick questions to all the three of y'all. Y'all have covered your story very well. However, I have a question, and the question is, I'm sure you expect this. One is that what is your vision for yourself? How do you see yourself back to India? Do you have any plans to come back to India, or do you think you're good where you are? And if so, what would be the reasons? Mukti is already smiling.
Okay, so then maybe I start.
Yeah, you can.
As I said, I shared my vision, and this is really independent of where I am. If the opportunities are right and if the conditions desire, I am open to coming to India. But at the moment, I'm also very happy where I am because I love the work-life balance that Germany offers. You really have a fixed number of hours that you need to dedicate to your work, and thereafter they value the family time extremely. Everybody in Germany. So as young parents, for Purav and I both, we find this balance that we get And the time that we can then spend with our daughter and even talking to our families, we never experience that in India. We see our parents working day and night. I also have a lot of friends who still live in India and work. So their work-life balance is not as good as I have it over here. So I'm happy to be here right now, but of course, if the opportunity is right and if the situation demands, I'm also open to coming to India or anywhere else in the world, actually.
Good to know that. Yes.
Yeah, I
Samyak.
can go next.
Yeah.
For me, I think vision, I think it's a very broad term, but I think in short, I can say trying to find something that like makes me happy. So like right now, I really like consulting, but because of the traveling, back and forth traveling, it doesn't seem to be like a solution for, after 10 years or something. So that's what I'm looking for, to find something that, again, that I like. And kind of a short-term goal is to find a purpose to come back to India. And it's not in the air, but actively finding that. It might be a job or coming up with a business idea.
Okay. Nice to know that, Samyak. We can
Thank
already
you.
see it in the air. Yes, Smith?
Yeah, so you guys can hear me, right? Just
Yes.
confirming. Yeah, so as far as vision is concerned, I really, like, if you ask me 5 years or 10 years down the line, I have a vision of converting my work into something that is purely simulation based. That's something that the industry is probably looking for the past 10 years. And especially in this COVID times where physical testing of a lot of devices is not possible, I want to make sure that I become a very big contributor to a part where all these things go on a simulation path rather than manufacturing and testing. A lot of things have been simulating, like we've been doing it, but it's still not at the par where you can just run only simulation and no testing it. That is what my vision is, and I want to make sure that I contribute to this a lot, because then there will be a lot of future as far as my career is concerned. But trying to shorten this answer, like in a way that probably would make sense at this point in my career, which is at the beginning. I am learning and exploring a lot in my field. I really like it. And to shorten that answer, that if I want to look myself in the next 5 years, then I would say I would still be in the same field, trying to make sure that I excel and trying to gain more experience. That's the short version of the 5-year question. And whether I want to come to India or no, once again, at this point, I don't really have the clarity of that, because I'm not as much invested in life as Mukti is probably. So she's 11 years into her life, having a daughter and family, which I don't currently. So at this point, I don't know. The life in the United States is very dynamic. Things can change overnight. So it's not really something that I would comment on this. But yeah, moving to India, why not? I have a lot of friends there. I have my parents there. Why not? It's just like, I'm not sure yet.
Okay. There is a question from Sanjay Shah, who's our founder trustee. We see so many students go for masters abroad. Have you noticed any KVO entering as teaching faculty in any institution? If not, what could be the reason?
I can try and explain that. I haven't seen any faculty, especially in my field or any core fields. And I think one of the reasons is that I think when we come to the foreign countries, I don't think so. When you need to be a faculty, you need to have research work and papers and publications. If you look at some of the professors, they have 40 journal papers and 30 conference papers. I don't think we KVO guys actually come here with that mindset. To be honest with you, even I was not, but then that path kind of leads you there sometimes.
So that is the reason why we don't find a lot of faculty. That's what my opinion is, but it might be differing.
Mukti and Samyak, would you like to contribute? If you have different views.
I actually wouldn't know, honestly. The overall community is pretty small, I think. I think before Purav and I came here, there was just one student from the KVO community in Germany. And so everyone is pretty young to actually reach the stage of a faculty member.
Right now, there are quite a few in Germany, but yeah, they're too young.
Yeah, they're all very young right now and on their paths. So
yeah, Samyak, you would like to add anything?
Yeah, just I think probably a lot of us don't see teaching as a lucrative career, but just to give an FYI, the professors in my university, I was in a business school, so the professors in my university, they had their industry experience, but then they started teaching and they were into research. I think most of them had a pretty good salary of around $250,000 and plus the research grants and stuff. So it's not especially here, it's not a bad career to choose.
What I would suggest, give my opinion is, generally internationally, to get into teaching, you need to do a doctorate. That is a very important aspect in teaching, and probably I think Indians, I would say, I wouldn't even say only KVO, want to go fast on their education and get into the industry to start working, because one invests a lot during the master's program. And then getting back to do a doctorate, we have one or two in the KVO community, but we don't have many. I mean, I am aware of two at least. Okay, there's a question from Aarti Dharmani. Electromagnetics is so difficult and abstract. How to study for this subject? I think Smith.
No, to be honest, the best way to learn electromagnetics is get help with the professors. It is a physics related field, so it can be slightly difficult with some courses. If you're into special courses, then it gets a little tricky. But once again, I feel hard work is the only key there. There's no other way, unfortunately.
Okay, my last question. You have all three been in India for your undergraduation, and you've done your post-graduation internationally. What would be your suggestions for Indian education? What do you think you saw different, and what do you think should be brought about as a good factor in Indian education? You can even highlight the positive side of it.
So I would actually like to start with that question, because I also pointed this out in one of my slides. When I did my biomedical engineering, that time there were just two engineering fields which had mandatory internship, because I think working is so important. Every education is very theoretical. We don't have so much practical built into the programs. And this internship really was a great opportunity. I was so sad to hear that after a couple of years, they removed this mandatory internship and added more subjects instead in that semester. Because I think this is the worst thing they could have done. It's okay to have a little less theoretical knowledge and to build more practical knowledge. So I think this is what is missing today in a lot of Indian programs. I think IITs might be the only exception here, but any other university in India, I think would pretty much fit into this bracket that they need to increase practical things. They need to offer students the time to work in the industry or in research, which we don't get in India. These opportunities are very few and everybody's really in a rat race. Even I was, I mean, there it's like, oh, you're 22, haven't you finished your engineering yet? Or, oh, you're 20, whatever, you know what I mean. So you really need to give the time to the students to learn a little bit from a practical perspective rather than get into this rat race.
Good observation and good experience shared. Yes, Samyak and Smith, would you like to share anything? If there is a different point.
I think I really... Go ahead.
Sorry. I would say I think we do cover a lot of topics, a lot of knowledge during our engineering. I think what I've observed in the US that much depth of knowledge is not covered, which I would say it's a positive point. But the only thing is the stress on the exams, and always doing like more studying more than doing practical work, which Mukti also mentioned. I think that's what, if we can change that perspective, I think that would be pretty good.
Good. So you're saying less of theory writing, and what you're suggesting is more application, logic.
Application. Yeah.
Okay, Smith, go ahead.
I think one positive point of Indian education system, especially bachelor's in engineering, which I had gone through, is that it makes you technically a little bit stronger. Because I know it's a lot of theory and you need to go through and memorize it and write it in the exam. But that, I think, makes you technically stronger when you have to apply. That's what my feeling is. And one positive point from the US standpoint is that your education system is flexible. Like you can choose the courses that you want. You can have a major in one area, whereas have a minor in some other area. That kind of gives you a good balance of two different areas. That's something that is still not available, but I recently heard, so I once again don't want to comment here, but I recently heard that system is changing.
In the new education policy,
Yeah.
There are a lot of proposed changes, but see, one thing for sure is the number of students is very large in India as compared to the US. So if you're saying choice of subject, how many students will be able to select from the choice of subjects? Unless it's an online program. Unless there's an online.
That's a fair point. I agree. That's a fair point, yes.
Because there is some number of students, there is a capping for every specialization. But yes, it's a valuable point that selection of subject allows you, minor and major, it allows you to that flexibility for migrating from one to another subjects. So yes, any other last point that you would like to share before we close the session? Anything that you would like to suggest for the KVO community, or how would you be able to help out through Matushri Manibai? You have the last word now.
I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Actually, we were chatting the other day, right, where I thought you were just involved in counseling, and then you told me that this is like another level. So I really appreciate this initiative where students might get a more in-depth understanding of the course. And as you said, how we can help if there are students coming to our region, and if they want some help, please patch us with them. We will definitely help as much as we can.
Sure.
Yep. So if anybody who's trying to come to US, choice of universities, any kind of advice, that kind of advice, or also if you are still in India and just figuring out what to do next, if you have any interest in consulting, business analysis, please reach out.
Thank you so much, Samyak, Smith. Yes, Mukti.
So I mean, Germany, I think I don't have.
For Germany, we know that you all are very few, so we know you're helpful and available.
But I think it's increasing. I think the community is increasing a lot. In the last years, we've seen lots more people come, and I really think it's an alternate. It's a viable alternate to the US. So people should consider it. People should explore it. It's much closer to home. And of course, please feel free to reach out to us whenever you need more information. And let us know how we can get involved more, because I always offer advice or offer some information to people who contact me through my parents or through the KVO community. But let us know how I can support more, how you could imagine that we can be more involved.
Yes. We have been involving you as a resource person when you're in India also.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll continue to do that now. Online version, people have accepted it as a new normal. So sometimes even online guidance is also possible. And one thing that I'd like to tell all the three of y'all, we look forward to your support in whatever way to the KVO community and to India at large. And we know that you're there. So thanks for being present and supporting the parents and the students who are looking forward to guidance. Germany is definitely more economical, more closer. German is more closer. And therefore, it's obvious that there are a lot of students now migrating to Germany also.
Yes.
However, USA has always been on the spotlight, and therefore there would always be students who will go to USA also. So we'll keep connected, and thank you very much to all the participants as well as the panelists today on behalf of Matushri Manibai Shivji Devji KVO Kanya. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.